Ripped is officially live. Yeah, my phone just beeped. So, turn this down. So, Mike's plugging the final numbers in for this week on the chart so that everyone can take a look at what's cooking. Remind everybody, subscribe to Get Ripped on YouTube so that you can get notifications when we come on board. And please like if you like it. If you don't like it anyway. So you guys know I was out last week. I figured I'd do a little time fill and let you know I was in Italy. Nevada and I flew into Rome. Spent about 4 days in Rome. Spent a couple of days in Florence, and then moved on to Venice. And it was one amazing trip. Definitely one of those lifetime trips. Got to do bucket list. If you like history, you will love that trip. We got a chance to go to the coast a couple of times. Cinque Terre, we went to that. That was our favorite coastal spot. So we got to check that out. It was absolutely amazing, but wonderful vacation with my lovely wife. So, now back in the grind, 2 weeks out of missed 2 Saturdays of football, but hopefully I'm back in the swing of things. If you guys looked at my picks from last week, absolutely horrible. Threw it together. Ooh, like 4-8. Week before was 9-4 though, so not a bad week the previous week, but it was absolutely pitiful last week. So
tell them about my week, Dave.
But Mike, in fact, was the exact opposite this week. He came out at 8-4, right?
That's right. We fought back.
8-4 this week.
This is where the run. This is where the run starts.
Absolutely.
What's up, man?
All right, there he is.
What's going
there
on?
He is. How you doing?
I am good, brother man.
Excellent.
Glad to have you back. You were definitely missed on the last show.
Glad to be back for sure. We do want to shout out to our Florida family down there that are going through a rough road, and especially in that Naples, Fort Myers area was just absolutely slammed down there. So rough time with Hurricane, ironically, Ian, as we do personally know 2 Ians, and I do have a son that is Ian. So, prayers out to those folks down there, and hopefully they can dig out and keep it rolling. So, let's see. In my preamble here, I do want to talk about my Gators. 2 weeks ago, poor showing against USF. They won, but it's like whatever. And but last week, Mr. Richardson had a pretty decent day with 500 yards of offense, 400 through the air, 100 yards on the ground. So hopefully the young man's getting his head on straight, right? And it's going to get things together. The good news is that they're making some changes on defense. Thank God, because our defense has sucked lately.
They haven't been that bad.
It's been bad.
I mean, yeah, it's been pretty bad.
They're taking care of Mr. Dean Zero, who is our safety, who accounted personally for 165 yards of offense for the other team, by the way, on 2 broken plays. So he is he's not going to be starting this week. So which is good. We're starting a freshman at safety this week. Hopefully he can get his feet good and wet and be ready to go after this weekend. Of course, we're playing on Sunday because of the hurricane.
And who are y'all playing again? Isn't it like Eastern Washington?
Eastern Washington. I have no clue who they are, what they are, or anything like that. So I just know they're making changes on defense, which I'm elated. So
Yeah, I'm
Where
ready
you,
to rock. I'm just
that
I'm
where
just
you need to
changing
be?
the I'm editing the title so people can find us, and then we're good to go.
And we throw something in the chat if you're on. We're wide open for business today.
Wide open for business.
Wide open. So the first game on the agenda. We're starting. Mike's gotten really organized now. He's got this thing organized by conference. We're starting out with the Big 10, then we're going to move to the Big 12, and then we're going to do ACC and SEC. So
We do what we
I'm
can.
totally impressed with his organizational skills today. So,
Hey, we're trying to make it easier for the people as well as ourselves. So
yeah, they can flow. It can flow. All right.
That's right.
First game is Indiana at the lowly Nebraska Cornhuskers. This one kind of surprised me a little bit when I saw the line at 5.5 in favor of Nebraska, but I guess everybody thinks that, well, they've gotten rid of their coach and now we're gonna make it happen. So we'll see. Indiana coming in 3-1, Nebraska 1-3. Over under on this thing is 60 points, something like that. Neither team just lighting it up. Bazelak, who came down from Missouri, he's only throwing at 54%, 7 TDs and 4 interceptions. Casey Thompson for Nebraska, 65%, 5 TDs and 3 interceptions. So could be turnover city in this game. Indiana's averaging 29 points, Nebraska at 30. So comes in about the same in terms of what they've averaged. Indiana did get spanked by Cincinnati, of which Mike projected last week. That was their first loss. Now, they did turn the ball over 3 times. So keep that in mind in that particular loss. My thought here is if they can control the ball, then they've got a shot here. Of course, we know Frost got the axe after the Georgia Southern game. So, the souls there think that, there's going to be a reprieve here. But I think if Indiana keeps the turnovers down, they should be able to win this game. So I am definitely going plus 5.5 with the Hoosiers in this particular game.
yeah, I like that pick. I could definitely see Indiana, going in there and winning that outright for sure, pretty handedly. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this Nebraska team right now, especially the defense on that side of the ball. I do like the offense. I think they're going to be able to do some stuff because Indiana doesn't have a good defense either. I am actually on the over here, Dave. I like them over 60 for the game. I think Indiana is going to get out pretty early. That's my only fear is that, if Indiana goes up 28-0 at halftime, that over is not looking too great. So I need Nebraska to compete, but 28-14. That's not a bad start to the half or the game. So that's what we're looking for. That's what I'm on. I think there's going to be a shootout. I think there's going to be some points, but I like your pick with Indiana. If that was the side, I'd have to go with that.
And I agree on the over in that particular game as well, Mike.
Right on. All right. So next one we're going to talk about, Dave, is Illinois, Wisconsin. Brett Bielema is going back to face his old squad for the second time, I believe. They played them last year, and Wisconsin kind of blew the brakes off them. But Illinois held it kind of close. I think, if I remember right, it was like 28-0, 26-0, something small, but at the same time, it was pretty handed, right? But this is a different Illinois team this year. I think Bielema's got him playing. I think they're going to show up for him. I do not like this Wisconsin team. They're really up and down as far as consistency right now. I think Chris, I've talked to some people. Shout out our guy. I won't name drop, but he knows who he is in this scenario. And he says basically that Paul Chryst is not going anywhere. He's leaving on his terms in Wisconsin right now, but the way that they're playing and the way they've been playing the last couple years, I don't know. I think he's going to make it hard for him after this year, honestly, the way that they're going right now. I like the under in this game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points. I think it's going to be a whole lot of defense, a whole lot of trench play, and a whole lot of running the ball. I totally see this game being like 17-7, 20-7, 20-10, real low scoring. So I like the under here, under 41. What do you think, Dave?
So Illinois comes in 3-1, Wisconsin 2-2, and like you said, they really have been a roller coaster. DeVito for Illinois, 70% in his completion rate right now. 9 TDs, two interceptions. Mertz for Wisconsin comes in at 67%, 7 TDs, 3 interceptions. So not too far up between the two quarterbacks. Illinois does have a good defense. They're number 6 in the nation right now. Granted, they haven't really got into their Big Ten schedule yet, but they're only allowing 8 points a game, and that's why I kind of agree with your lean on the under in this particular game, Mike. Wisconsin's averaging 34 points a game. Illinois, overall pretty decent offense, and the defense has been pretty good as well, so kind of balanced out. Illinois comes in 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 games. So that's a big plus for Illinois. Now, they do need to stop the run. Obviously, that's always Wisconsin's bread and butter, but I think they can do it. And I think Bielema is going to come in there and he really wants to beat his old team. So I'm definitely going Illinois here in +7 in this particular situation.
Right on. Yeah, if that was on the side, I would definitely be on the Illinois side too. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think that favors Illinois in those points for sure. Next one we're going to discuss. We're sticking with the Big Ten. Then we're going to make a switch here after this one. We got Michigan, Iowa out there on the plains. J.J. McCarthy is supposed to be sort of Jim Harbaugh's new son, his savior, especially with Cade McNamara hurt. And last week he sort of kind of putzed along a little bit. He didn't really look like the same JJ that everybody was deeming as the next guy up there in Michigan. Was that because they were looking ahead to this game against Iowa? Maybe. Same thing with Iowa on the other side. I mean, they kind of struggled a little bit with Rutgers. Were they looking ahead to Michigan at all? But again, Iowa's offense has been absolutely terrible all year. They have started to get it going a little bit more lately. They are scoring a little bit more points, but when I say a little bit more, I mean they're getting over 25. They're getting 20. It's not anything crazy. It's not anything major. Michigan's defense is going to come to play. Iowa's defense is going to come to play. I think Iowa's going to be able to hold off J.J. McCarthy. He's still inexperienced. He's got a load of talent. But I think Iowa's defense at Iowa is going to be able to hold them. And on the other side, I think Michigan is going to be able to hold Iowa's offense pretty easily. Still not impressed at all with their offense. I'm on the under here as well. Under 41 is where I got it. Make sure to get it early. I think this number is going to drop pretty quickly as we get closer to Saturday. And more people start to talk about this game and kind of the size of it's going to be a lot of trench play. Same sort of, it's Big Ten football. Same thing with Illinois, Wisconsin. A lot of running, a lot of trench play, a lot of short passes, a lot of conservative, not a lot of big plays. So I'm on the over here. What do you think, Dave?
So you're the under.
Or under, yeah, under. I'm sorry. Under. Yeah, good call. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So Michigan comes in 4-0. Iowa's 3-1. McCarthy is throwing 80% clip right now. And granted, he's not freaking ripping it down the field, but he's running the ball well as well. 5 TDs, no interceptions. The quarterback for Iowa, Spencer Petras, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Just horrible. Their offense is horrendous. And obviously playing Michigan, there's no way they score in double digits against Michigan. I mean, 7, maybe they get to 10. So I'm over there on your side on this being a low scoring game, Mike. So I don't think they're going to score 10 points. Now Iowa is number 2 defense, only giving up 6 points a game. And obviously having that horrible offense. But I honestly believe that Michigan's going to show out in this game. I think they're going to break that. I think they're going to break. Granted, they're playing at Iowa, but hell, it's been Iowa this year, and they played most of the games at home. I just think Michigan's going to score, 30, and Iowa's going to score 7. So I'm gonna go with Michigan here and go minus 10 points on this game because I think that they can beat this team by 10 points. Granted, I'd probably go with that under as well, Mike. I think that's a good play, but I think it's going to be Michigan score some points on this side of the team.
I definitely hear you. The only thing I do want to throw out there is this is Michigan's first away game. You were talking about Iowa's played a lot of home games. This is Michigan's first away game, and it's going to be a big one. That place is going to be sold out. They're going to be loud at 12 p.m. They're going to be on that moonshine. They're going to be on that potato vodka. Iowa, they're going to be rowdy in Iowa. As calm and as peaceful and as good as of people as they can be, they'll be rowdy. And the thing with Michigan that fears me the most is last week they really, really struggled with a Maryland team that they were favored by, I think it was 17. That went down to the wire for absolutely no reason. It didn't need to be that close. J.J. McCarthy really struggled. He went 18. I won't say really struggled. He went 18 for 26, 220, 2 touchdowns. So not terrible, but literally the reason they won that game is because their running back Corum went absolutely bonkers and went for almost 250 rushing yards. And he basically put the team on his back and got it done for him. But if there was ever a game that Iowa's offense could do enough to cover, it's just a lot of points. That 10 points is a lot, in my opinion. At Iowa, if it was at home, I could see it. But at Iowa, I don't know. It's a lot of points for me. But we'll see. We will see.
I think they're going to surprise you.
They might
surprise you because they're not ranked up there. I don't think it's a false ranking right now with them being as high as they are right now. They had a decent team last year, and I think McCarthy makes them a better team this year. So I think you're going to get surprised, but I also think you're safe with the under.
All right, right on.
So next game we roll into the Big 12. Next game we've got Iowa State versus Kansas. Iowa State 3-1, and yes, Kansas 4-0. Their over/under total at the beginning of the year was 2, and they've already surpassed that in the first 4 games. So, little quarterback info: Hunter Deckers, the QB for Iowa State, 72%, 10 TDs, but 5 interceptions. So he's 2 for 1 on interceptions there. Jayden Daniels, this kid, I heard a lot about him. This guy, it's a very inspiring story. He came to Kansas, and last year was he had that one game where they beat somebody big last year. Was it Oklahoma or someone like that? They beat last year. They beat a good team last year. Kansas did.
Texas,
that's right. So this kid's for real. 71%, 11 TDs, 1 interception. If this kid stays on track, they're talking about him, possibly being a Heisman candidate. And
wild.
He's for real. Kansas ranked 6th in the nation in scoring at 48 points a game. Iowa State defense is 14th in the country, holding teams to 14.5. So we got that clash right. Iowa State won this game last year, 59-7. 59-7, and they're only getting 3 points in this game this year. Iowa State is 1-5 against the spread against their last 6 games against the spread against winning teams. Again, Daniels' PFF numbers are ahead of TJ Stroud. So Kansas' weakness is passing game, passing defense. So, but I'm not really that honed in on Deckers after throwing 5 interceptions. Iowa State is definitely not what they were last year. I think they're on the decline. We talked about Campbell. He should have taken a good team last year because they're on the decline. So you might not believe it, but I am taking Kansas +3 in this game, and they will go for 5-0.
Whew. Whew.
That's a mouthful.
That's crazy. I mean, I respect it. I had Kansas last week. It really it didn't taste good. It didn't taste good at all, but it ended up working out for me. So this one was tough, man. I did not want to bet this one. I had this nowhere near my sheet, and then sure enough, you put it on there. So a couple of notes I did want to point out. Yes, Deckers has thrown 5 interceptions. 2 of them were last week to Baylor in that game where the score is probably closer than it actually was. Baylor kind of jumped out on them, and they kind of started going back and forth. But once Baylor got that double-digit lead, they never really gave it up. Iowa State couldn't catch them. But he did have 2 in that game, so he does have a few, but he's also, like you said, he's throwing 72% right now. So he is accurate with the football. The thing is, Kansas's offense is tearing it up right now. Super good. They are, like you said, I think they're 4th in the nation in points scored right now as an offense.
6, 48 points.
Yeah, I think they're tied. I think they're tied with a couple of teams. So right in there though, top 10, whatever. But their defense is garbage, still bad. That's my issue here. Iowa State does have a good defense. I think that Matt Campbell is a good enough coach, if not the better coach in this situation, to be able to prepare for Jayden Daniels and what he needs to do to sort of make them a little more one-dimensional. Kansas does have a very good running team, but Iowa State has a very good run defense. So it's going to be a nice fight between these different skill positions and these different battles. But I think that Iowa State is going to be able to do enough to get this win. I think it's another one that could be low scoring. I'd kind of lean to the under again in this one. But I'd probably going to go Iowa State money line. So we're going to have a little bit of a showdown here, Dave.
All right. Good. Our first official
That's right.
showdown.
Getting it back rolling.
All right, good.
All right, sir. Next one, we're going to sort of stick in Kansas. We're going to talk Kansas State and Texas Tech here. Another one that I really didn't want any piece of. This is one where both of these teams are coming off of super mile-high victories. Kansas State with the upset over Oklahoma, and Texas Tech with the upset over Texas, which they haven't done since Crabtree, and before that, they haven't done in forever. So it doesn't happen often at all. For that reason, I did not want to touch this game at all. It's too much momentum, too much emotion involved. The line is big for some reason. It's I think it was at like 8 a while back. It might be lower now, but I think it's gonna be 2 teams going at it with all the confidence in the world. It's gonna be a really fun game to watch. But again, I like the under here. There's a trend here, folks, this week. There's a trend. I like the under 57. I think that they are going to be riding high. I think they gave it all. They're going to be a little bit gassed from last week. All of that emotion that they felt in that meantime from riding high on those victories, it's going to wear them out a little bit. They're going to come out probably blazing in the first quarter, maybe the first half, but I think it settles down. And I like the under here, ultimately.
And ironically, Mike, I chose to pick Kansas State, and we'll talk about why in a minute, but I also had the under as well in this particular game. So again, we're we're very much in agreement on a number of these games this week, which is a good thing.
That's right.
So both teams coming at 3-1. Tech was a big win, like Mike said, over Texas. K-State, big win over Oklahoma. So they kind of castrated the future SEC teams, right? So QB for Tech, Donovan Smith, he's only at 64%, 9 TDs, 5 interceptions. Adrian Martinez, he's only at 62%, 2-2. Playing better, we know he can run the ball as well.
Yep.
Tech is 5th in passing at 363 yards a game. Now, they're not going to run it; they're going to throw it. That's the way they roll. You know, it's the old air raid type offense with Tech, so they're going to try to throw the ball down the field. Martinez, best game of his life last week in Norman against the Sooners. I think he had over 200 yards of passing, 148 yards of rushing. So I think with them coming off that win and Martinez getting that confidence, and the final note being at Kansas State, I think they can cover 7 points in this particular game. But again, I also agree it's not going to be your normal Big 12 shootout. So, but I'm going to take K-State in this game at -7.
Right on. I love it. Love to hear it. Next game we're going to talk about here, we're going to stick in the Big 12, and we're going to go Baylor, Oklahoma State, the biggest one out of that conference this weekend. This one is definitely interesting. I'm gonna let you start it off, Dave. I want to hear your thoughts.
This is probably one of the games that I'm definitely not going to miss this weekend, because I think, you know, it's a very important game. At this point, I think Oklahoma State and Baylor are the best two teams in the Big 12. And granted, I want Baylor to win because that's where my money went in Las Vegas. So Baylor's getting 2 over-unders, 57. Oklahoma State hasn't lost, but they've only played 3 games, so they're 3-0. Baylor's 3-1 with that loss to BYU at the beginning of the year. Spencer Sanders, QB for Oklahoma State, 65%, 10 TDs, 1 interception. He's doing quite well, but they haven't played anybody yet. That's what's got everybody, you know, a little concerned that we don't really know yet what Oklahoma State is. Shapen for Baylor's coming around, 69%, 7 TDs and 1 interception. OSU's offense against 3 cream puffs is second in the nation, 52 points, which is quite a bit. But again, it's one of the teams that we're talking about this week that has not really even played a good team yet. Most teams have played at least one decent team. They haven't played anybody yet, so I think that's what's keeping a lot of people off this game. Baylor's only given up 17 points a game, so they've got a good defense. Last year, this matchup, regular season, Oklahoma State won. In the conference championship, Baylor won to win the Big 12 last year. Oklahoma State's defense, I do not believe, is going to be as good as what it was last year. Baylor did a decent job against BYU. They were in a tough environment the first game. The issue is that the backs for Baylor are a little weak. That's their one weak point when it comes to Baylor. And you heard how well Sanders has thrown the ball, but against inferior talent. So as much as it hurts me in this particular situation, I'm going to say Oklahoma State +2 in this particular game. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it really hurts because that's a lot of money. I guess I'll win both ways. It's one of those, you know, if Baylor wins, then I've still got a chance at my bet at Baylor winning the Big 12. But
if they lose, that's gonna be an uphill climb at 2 losses already at this point in the season, though.
Yeah, for your. That's why I think Oklahoma State. About win there.
Well, the good news, what you got going for you is I'm on Baylor, Dave. I'm gonna bring it home for us with this one. I think Baylor gets it done at home. I love Dave Aranda, and I do not like Mike Gundy. That plays a part in this. Also plays a part. This is their first away game for OK State. They have played 3 cupcakes. The biggest factor for me is what's going to happen in these big games when that defense has to face a little adversity, because that D coordinator that led their best defense ever under Mike Gundy last year is no longer there.
Ohio State.
And you see what they're doing. They're cooking right now. So I'm interested to find out what they do against a team that is going to punch them in the mouth a little bit. The other thing, too, with Oklahoma State is their pass defense is not good. They're giving up 265 right now a game, which sounds kind of low. That's ranked like 200th in the country at this point in the season. So the issue with that is Baylor can sling it. They're going to try to run it more, but they can definitely sling it. So I like Baylor here. I like them money line. I'm going to say forget the 2.5. Just take them money line. It's going to be, I think, another low-scoring one. It's going to be one of those back and forth, head button. Like you said, it's going to be one that I do not want to miss come Saturday. So I'm looking forward to it. I like the Bears to keep your hopes alive.
I hope you're right, baby. I hope you're right. That's money in the bank if that happens, because I honestly believe whoever wins this game is going to win the Big 12. So we'll see.
Strong possibility. We'll see. Strong possibility. Well, let's leave the Big 12 now, and let's head to the Pac-12 a little further out west, and let's discuss Utah, Oregon State. This was one that I initially, earlier in the week, I was all over Utah. I love Utah. If you watched our preview show at the beginning of the year, I had them actually going undefeated. They have since let me down a little bit. At the beginning of the year, they lost to a team that maybe they shouldn't have, but they did. Anyway, that I do like them a lot in this game, but the thing that I like more is the under. I think Utah ends up covering this, but I think Oregon State's defense comes to play enough to where they're going to make it a little difficult for them, at least in the first half. I think Utah probably pulls away in the fourth, but I could totally see this game being, 17-13 going into the fourth quarter, and Utah gets a touchdown, then they get a defensive touchdown, and the game ends 31-13, and everybody thinks it's a blowout because Utah covers, and I could totally 100% see it going this way. So I do like Utah in the points if I had to be on a side, but I like the under more here. What do you think, Dave? And the under is at 55 last time I checked.
So both teams come in at 3-1. Oregon State quarterback throwing at 62% clip, 7 TDs, 6 interceptions. Cameron Rising at 67%, 10 TDs and 2 interceptions.
Much better.
The Utah D, 21st in the nation, only allowing 14 points a game. Oregon State's averaging, however, 38 points a game, but they haven't played anybody. Let's see. Oregon State won last year 42-34. It was one of those early games that Utah lost last year, and it was at Oregon State. Utah 6-1 against the spread at home in their last 7 games. But here's a little bit of a kicker.
Okay, give me the
kicker.
kicker.
You guys watch the Florida game, and this is going to play into your hand as well as where I'm going. But that tight end, Brant Cute, whatever, he tore our ass up. He is done. He's done for the year. So, Rising's number 1 target, and the thing about that game against Florida was they only dinked and dunked to those tight ends. They didn't do anything else. So, something definitely to think about in terms of their ability to produce yards and points. Utah's going to have to run the ball if they're going to be able to do anything here, but because of those factors, and really what sealed it for me is that tight end being out. I am taking the under as well with Miami Mike.
I love it. Love that.
I'm staying away from that. Utah's probably gonna win, but there's not many points right now, and I think not having this kid is going to be tough because Rising doesn't get the ball down the field that well. So
yeah,
I think this could be a prime time bet here and take the under.
Another thing to consider too, the next 3 games for Utah. Next week they have UCLA. The following week they have USC. And the following week they have Washington State. All 3 teams are kind of clicking and rolling right now, especially next week. That's a big game. It's at UCLA. And then that following, probably against the top 5 USC game at that point if they win this week. And, the following, obviously. So, is Utah's mind fully on this Oregon State team? Don't know. But I like that more for the under as well, for sure. All right, Dave, let's head to the ACC now, your favorite conference in the land. We're going to discuss the Wake Forest-Florida State game. As much as I don't want to, because
I guess we shouldn't use the J word, that jealousy right now, considering our team's records and God forbid Ian Gleason listens to this broadcast or any of those Florida State fans. 4-0. Can I go first?
You absolutely. You take this away.
All right. As much as it pains me, Tallahassee State is 4-0. Wake comes in at 3-1, and only lost to Clemson at Clemson last week, and it wasn't. It was a close game.
It was a fantastic game. It was an awesome game.
I'm having fun in freaking Italy. What the hell?
Awesome game.
So Hartman's passing at 64%, 13 TDs, 2 interceptions. Jordan Travis ripping it up at 5 TDs, 1 interception. FSU's defense holding teams to 19 points per game, so that defense is doing well. But Wake's offense, 42 points per game. Wake's got some sneaky good receivers in this situation here, and Mike, I'm going to have to call this one, man. I'm calling Wake Forest +7, and I'm calling it the Gator lock.
Gator Dave lock, huh? First of the week.
Gator Dave lock.
Wake Forest. I love it. I love this Wake Forest offense. Absolutely love Sam Hartman. He's going to be a stud and a dog in the NFL when he goes. They got 2 wide receivers on the outside. Absolute studs. I got Perry is a beast. I forget the other guy's name right now. I'm sorry. I think it's like Banks, if I want to remember right. But Perry is a monster. His connection with Sam Hartman and the confidence that you see this Wake team playing with Sam Hartman as their quarterback. Absolute great game last week. It was terrible that Clemson was able to come back and win that game. I mean, it was so easily could have been a Wake Forest upset, Moneyline type of deal. And this week, this game is a whole lot closer. That's why I think +7 is a gift. I'm with you with the Gator Dave lock. I think +7 is easy money. I think Wake's offense is not the problem at all. It's going to be their defense and how they contain Jordan Travis and his dual threat abilities. If they can do that, I think it's Wake all day long in this game. And yes, Florida State, we have to say it. Like you said, we have to admit it. They are undefeated right now. They are currently sitting at the top of the Florida State rankings, but they got a gauntlet that they're about to go through, and I think they're about to get humbled a little bit. They got Wake this week, then they got Clemson, then they got NC State. It's gonna get a little rocky, I think. But I'm with you. I like Wake. I think that they could pull the upset outright. So I'm with you there. I like them.
Yep. Awesome.
All right. Next one we got, what we got? We got about 4 left, and then I am going to hit you with a surprise. You already know I am because you got to miss out on it last week. So, and you are we have to say you are tearing it up on the surprise games this year. I don't know if you've lost one yet. I think you're undefeated in the surprises that I've thrown at you. So, we may have to do something with that knowledge this week, Dave. All right, so this one we're going to do is NC State Clemson. And I know you got a little inside information regarding the weather and some situations about this game. So why don't you take this one?
So, both teams undefeated. Okay, so Clemson had the win last week over Wake. North Carolina State, nice win over Texas Tech. Devin Leary throwing at 64%. 9 TDs, 2 interceptions. DJU, 64%, 10 TDs, 1 interception. So they're pretty much around the same there. NC State, 14th best defense in the country, only allowing 12 points per game. And remember, they play Texas Tech. Clemson, 18th best offense, scoring 43.8 points per game. NC State won this game last year in overtime. It was at NC State. Neither team is really tearing up running the ball. But Clemson's pass defense is, I think, their Achilles heel. And I also believe in that defense at North Carolina State. A lot of folks earlier in the week were thinking that it was going to be a rainy, gully washer type day, and they were worried about Devin Leary being able to pass because remember I said the pass defense of Clemson's not that good. The weather's going to be the bomb. I think the field's going to be dry enough. There's not going to be any rain during the game, and I am saying and I am sticking with NC State, and I'm going to take NC State at +7.
All right. I hear everything you're saying. I was on NC State also initially at the beginning of the week. But the more I thought about it and the more research I did, I'm not really impressed with this NC State team. I backed them a couple times this year, one of them being that East Carolina game at the beginning of the year. And it was, I did not like what I saw from Devin Leary at all, specifically. He did not look like the same quarterback that he was last year. I don't know if that's because they switched schemes on him. They moved a lot of guys. He lost a lot of guys as far as targets on the outside or whatever, but he does not look comfortable. As far as Clemson, I'm actually super impressed with their passing game this year. DJ is stepped it up. He's put his money where his mouth is, and he's shut up a lot of people, including myself this year. I mean, right now he's throwing for 65%. He is on pace to be a 3,000-yard passer this year and hit 30 touchdowns, as well as throwing for less than 5 picks on the entire season. I mean, that's Heisman potential type numbers, at least gets invited to the show. So he's performing, and Will Shipley is a monster at running back. I don't understand how he does it, but I mean, this guy averages 7 yards a carry like it's nobody's business, and he does not go down. So I am actually pretty worried about this Clemson team. They looked a lot more sound last week than I thought they did, and to be honest, that Wake game really shouldn't have been that close. Clemson was down 3 DB starters. They lost another one in the game to targeting, and Wake was sort of preying on 2 guys on that sideline or on that side of the ball for Clemson pretty much that entire second half. I mean, it was just go routes. My guy's going to beat your guy, and that's kind of how Wake started to score in that second half. I think that Clemson is going to right that ship on defense. They're getting their 3 guys back as well. I think it's going to be a lot more of a defensive battle in this game.
Well, the over-under under-under's 40.
I know it's super low, and for that reason, it's probably a good side to be on with NC State in the points because it is going to be a low game. I've been going back and forth with whether I wanted to be on the first half under or the total for the game. The first half under is 20. The game is 42. I'm not on NC State. If I really had to pick a team, I think I'd have to go Clemson in this one, just based off of what I said. NC State has an elite defense, though, so I don't think they're going to make it easy on Clemson. They also beat them last year, like you said, so they have that confidence. They've done it before. Clemson has that in the back of their head now. Yes, it's a revenge game, but it's also, man, especially DJ, he did not have a good game against NC State last year. Does that play a factor into this year? Maybe. Honestly, maybe. So that's why I like the under here. I'm going under 42. If I had to be on a side, though, I would probably have to go Clemson. But it's gonna be one of those, like you said about Baylor, Oklahoma State. I'm not missing this game. It's gonna be a great game.
Absolutely.
All right. So now we are headed to your truly favorite conference. We are going to the SEC, who they think they're the best. We'll let them believe it. We're going to LSU, Auburn. It's a rivalry game. It's an ugly game this year. Brian Harsin was a couple of plays. I mean, Missouri did. Eli Drinkowitz is one of Brian Harsin's disciples, basic coaching disciples, and I think he saved. I'm not saying it was on purpose, but man, he saved his predecessor and master. He saved his job. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Missouri had that game locked and sealed 2 or 3 times, and they just didn't want to win the game. It was absolutely mind blowing. It was an absolutely crazy game to watch. I actually got on Missouri late, so I ended up hitting on the spread, which is great. But I had them on the money line too on another parlay. It was like a 3-teamer, and it was ugly too. It had Ball State on it. It had James Madison money line, which cha-ching, that one hit. But yeah, Missouri let me down with that one, so I was a little hurt. But I mean, for an Auburn team that, if you look at their record, they're not having a bad year. They're on Harsin's ass. If he loses one game, it sounds like he's done. So, it was supposed to be last week. He thought it was going to be last week. If you look at the cameras after the initial kicker for Missouri, when he misses that field goal at the end of regulation, I mean, it was an extra point. Right down the middle, it was like they show Harsin's face, and you could totally 100 tell he's like, well, that just delayed sort of the inevitable. You could tell he was ready to sort of face the music at that point. We'll see what happens in this one, but I like LSU -8. I think there's going to be too much noise going on in Auburn. It is a rivalry game, though, and this game is always sort of one of those screwy ones in the SEC where if a team's down bad, it doesn't really matter. They'll have a way to kind of keep it close. So that's my only issue. It's a lot of points. It's -8 right now. But that's the side that I would have to take. What do you think, Dave?
So both teams 3-1, like you said. Auburn got lucky as shit to win.
Extremely. I mean, ridiculously lucky.
That was stupid.
Paid off refs type lucky.
Yeah. And LSU had a big win, in my opinion, over Mississippi State, who I think is a decent team. Daniels for LSU is really starting to step it up. He's doing a 73%. Granted, he's not, they're working him in. It's not those long passes downfield yet, but still 73% is pretty damn good. 6 interceptions, 6 TDs, no interceptions. And Finley's been replaced by Robbie Ashford at Auburn, and Robbie Ashford's coming in, tearing it up at 57%. Their quarterback situation is the shit. LSU's defense is only giving up 14 points a game, and we know that they've got talent. Tigers are giving up 22 a game. Little nugget here. First round draft pick be back for LSU this week. So I think that is that's worth 3 points right there, Mike. I think that makes that 8 okay, just because of Butte being back. Auburn is 0-4 against the spread this year. I mean, LSU's just got too much talent. And I'm going firm on LSU and -8 in this game.
All right, firm. I like that.
Firm.
Confident in that pick. I'm not confident at all in that pick. So I'm glad one of us is.
Okay, baby, watch.
I hope you're right.
One, if not 2 touchdowns. You watch.
I hope you're right. So this one we got here is going to be Mississippi State and Texas A&M. This one's another one that I really didn't initially want to get on here, Dave. So I'm going to let you lead off here.
You know, I didn't want to get it either, but it's like one of the biggest games that the SEC's got going this week, and I know a lot of our audience is SEC and ACC. So both teams come in the game at 3-1. A&M had to do the old switcheroo on the quarterback, so they moved to Max Johnson. But the problem with our boy Max is he's only throwing at about 50% completion rate. However, Will Rogers comes in throwing at 74%, 16 TDs, 3 interceptions, 1,396 yards. As I looked at most of the quarterbacks, no one was near him in terms of yardage. A&M's defense has only given up 12 points a game. And the Bulldog passing attack is 351 passing yards a game. But remember, we got the mighty Pirate that is coaching the Bulldogs now, so they're in that old Big 12 offense, you know, throw it, right? So Anaya Smith, the A&M receiver, is out for the year. That's their number 1 receiver. He was a big reason, in my opinion, that they've been able to stay in some of these games. And that's the thing that pushed me to go where I'm going to go, besides Johnson being inconsistent. I'm going Mississippi State in the money line here. They're playing at Mississippi State. Not an easy place to play. Smith's done. In this game last year, Mississippi State won at Texas A&M. So I'm going with the Pirate and Mississippi State money line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with the Pirate as well. I think those cowbells will be rocking in Starkville. I don't have faith in this Texas A&M team. From the games that I've seen, including the one with Miami and the one last week, I'm not impressed. Especially like you said, they're losing their go-to guy, wide receiver. Now, granted, they are starting to get a little bit of depth there under Jimbo. He's starting to bring guys in. One of the guys that's going to get a lot of play in this game because of that injury is going to be Evan Stewart, stud 5-star wide receiver that just came in this class.
Yeah, who is he committed to?
We don't need to talk about that, Dave.
Okay.
That's not why he was brought up, so we don't need to go there necessarily. But he is going to be a factor for sure moving forward for them and in this game. But ultimately, I'm with you. I think the Pirate, Mike Leach, is going to have something up his sleeve, and ultimately, I just think they're going to be too much for him. I think Texas A&M is still just a little bit too young. They're a little too they got to work on some discipline things on the defensive side of the ball specifically, and those DBs. They're good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, talent's there. But, yeah, I think they still got a ways to go, so I'm with you. I think Mississippi State gets it done at home. I like them money line.
One thing, Mike, that a lot of people are thinking because, you know, A&M bought in that big class, you know, the number 1 class, greatest class ever with all the 5 stars and so forth. And they are playing some of those guys, but I did a little research this week, and A&M has, from a seniority upperclassmen starters, probably more than anyone in the SEC. Most people don't know that. Granted, they're playing those studs, but they're not starting, and they're getting them in.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a very veteran team, and which is why a lot of people are pretty kind of pissed at where Jimbo is at this time.
Yeah.
And if they lose this game, it's going to be ugly down there.
Oh yeah.
Because of one, a veteran team, and two, bringing in all these studs, and they end up coming in at 3-2 at this juncture, still having to play, the Alabamas, the LSU's,
mm-hmm.
the Arkansas, the Ole Miss. I mean, hell, they could be 500 if they don't watch out.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be a pivotal game for Jimbo, and I'm not a Jimbo fan. Obviously, with him being a Florida State, I'm a Jimbo hater. So, obviously, I'm rooting for the Dogs in this particular situation. So.
Likewise, it doesn't help to have that in our back pocket when we're going to decide who we're going to take on this one for sure. Last one we're going to discuss. It's going to be another SEC game. Kentucky Ole Miss. This is another one, Dave. Man, I tell you, it was pretty much like I circled like half of these games, and I was like, nope, you know what? Not touching it. And then you sent me your list for this week, and I was like, you son of a... And here we are. And now we got another one that I don't want any part of, this Ole Miss Kentucky game. But I'm going to take the under. Again, I'm sticking with my trend this week. I'm taking the under. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think Mark Stoops is going to have his guys ready. I'm really not impressed with Jackson Dart yet. The stuff that I saw at USC, the flashes, I mean, that kid can be a stud. He can be an absolute beast, especially in Lane Kiffin's offense. I mean, he could really do something there, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'm really encouraged, honestly, that could be this game, and it very well could be. But I think ultimately Mark Stoops and that Kentucky defense is gonna be the factor. Another huge thing for Kentucky's offense, they have not had a running game this entire year. That's because they've been out without Chris Rodriguez, their star running back. He's got like 3,000 career rushing yards for Kentucky. He's an absolute stud. He's their entire running game. They're getting him back for this game. So that's a huge piece for Will Levis, the quarterback, who people are now talking about. He's the number 1 overall pick coming up in this draft, which I think is nuts personally, but yeah, I mean, he's that high on people's charts right now, that high on people's boards. They're speaking that highly of him. They're speaking that highly of this Kentucky team. Mark Stoops is demanding respect now. He's not asking anymore. Lane Kiffin has sort of challenged Jackson Dart of late. He wants to see a little bit more from him too, but he's confident in what he's going to bring. Also, Ole Miss is wearing some pretty sweet helmets this week against Kentucky. They're in collaboration with, I forget the name of the company right now, but they are badass, man. They're playing in the Grove. It's a really tough one for me to call. I really wanted to take Kentucky in the points, but I think I'm just going to take the under. I think I'm going to ride with my trend this week. What do you think, though, Dave?
All right.
Give it to me.
Pause. We're on track in some areas that you talked about. You did talk about Kentucky, and both teams come in undefeated, right? Kentucky's big win over the Gators. Ole Miss's big win against Georgia Tech. Woo! Yeah. So Kentucky's Will Levis throwing at 68% clip, 10 TDs, 4 interceptions. Like you said, most of the soothsayers have him in the first round. I was reading an article yesterday. I think they had him at number 2 or 3.
Crazy.
But they also have freaking Anthony Rich in the first round, which is not going to happen. So, so a lot of people think a lot of Will Levis. Jackson Darks, he's only at 62%, only 5 TDs and 2 interceptions. But the thing to remember, Mike, is that Ole Miss has 2 guys that have run for damn near 500 yards each. So they have moved to the running game dramatically because of these two running backs that they've got. They grabbed that kid from TCU. I can't remember his name right now. Florida tried to recruit him, but he ended up going to TCU because he had grade issues and so forth. But they're going to try to run the ball. Kentucky's defense only giving up 13 points a game. Ole Miss is only giving up 10 points a game in their defense. But again, they didn't play shit. They played Georgia Tech's the best team they play.
Right.
Just saying nothing. And like you said, I think the reason I'm going where I'm going is Rodriguez is back. And that gives Levis, to me, a little bit of breathing room. And he's not going to have to depend on Smoke, who's just, to me, is an average SEC back. Chris Rodriguez was first-team SEC running back. And this son of a bitch can play. He can run. He's the bomb. And I think that's the difference in this particular game. 2 years ago, they played 42-41 Ole Miss. Kentucky is 4-0-1 against the spread against winning teams in the last 5 games. Now, again, we talked about Ole Miss running the ball. They're only throwing the ball 35% of the time. So they're not really dependent on Dart. They're dependent on running the ball. And I feel very good about Kentucky's run stoppability and the fact that they can stop that defense. That offense. So the big question here is Ole Miss is we just don't know about Ole Miss. It's kind of like, we've got a couple of teams we talked about today that haven't played anybody. We just like what was it, Oklahoma State?
Right.
And we're gambling. We're really gambling on them because they haven't played anybody yet. Ole Miss hadn't played anybody yet, so we're really not sure about that. But I feel at this juncture that Kentucky can take this thing, and I'm going with +7. Ole Miss is getting 7 points. To me, Kentucky +7 is a lock. I'll tell you that's a Gator Dave lock at this point.
Yeah, I would say that line also is. It's interesting that it is where it is. Granted, what Kentucky is ranked right now. So just
I agree. I think I'll be honest.
For them to be top 10 on,
they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there, dude.
No. Later in the season, yeah. I don't think anybody really expects them to last in the top 10. If they do, hats off to them. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't think that's something that people expect, at least currently, for sure. So I'm with you though. That'd definitely be the side that I'd have to take. I think they're gonna make it competitive. That's another game though that it's not one of those that I cannot miss, but it'd be one that I'd love to see for sure. All right, Dave. So what I'm gonna do?
Before you go, let's check out the chat. We got Nick Zachary is in here. We got Scotty Boy. We got Steel City Rip. Shout out to all those guys. Public House was in here earlier. My boy, I hope he's still listening up. So, you guys have anything for us, let us know.
Right on.
As we start to wrap up the show for sure.
Right on. So I forgot to throw up last week's recap, Dave. I hate to do it to you, but it is on.
Hey, my question, Mike, hold on, Mike. Did you throw up the recap the week before for me?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, I had to. You had a great week that week before, so
okay.
We had to give you your props, absolutely.
All right, so let's move on to the surprise game now.
All right, so I'll throw up this week's recap for everybody. That's what we're on. Let me give you this surprise, and then I'll run through the recap. So this week was tough. I liked a lot of games this week. I liked about 3 times as many as I normally do, which is not good for my wallet. I am torn between about 3 or 4 that I want to give you as far as surprise games.
Give me 2, man. Give me 2. I'm on a roll.
You want? Yeah, you are. You're undefeated with surprise games this year. You're on a tear when it comes to these.
I need to.
All right. I'm gonna give you kind of a stretch, and then we'll see what you do with it. It's gonna be Florida Atlantic and North Texas.
Oh snap, man! These teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you earn it. You're gonna earn it this week, Dave. Wait till you hear my next one.
Alright, so I'd at least like to look at what the soothsayers say here. So
hey, you do whatever you need to do.
Where are we at?
I got my side.
2 and 3, coming off a narrow 2-point loss to Purdue, and that's Florida Atlantic. And North Texas. Nah. I just need info to let it sink in, man, you know?
I hear you.
Florida Atlantic's 2 and 3. The Mean Green's 2 and 3. So the Owls come off a 28-23 loss to Purdue.
Hard fought game. They should have beat your Boilermakers in that one, man.
Oh, hey, and the Mean Green
hard fought.
44-34 loss to my alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
see, we got a little. I threw this in there, a little skin in the game on both sides for you. You know.
Okay. Yeah, but and we know why your Owls. That's your boy Nkosi, right?
You know it, Nkosi Perry.
Nkosi Perry.
That's right.
So I am going to say, wow, this is like a dead. What's the spread?
Spread is North Texas minus 3.5, I believe. Or no, is it It's FAU minus 3.5. Over under is 68.5.
And where are they playing?
At North Texas, in Denton, Texas.
North Texas, and Florida Atlantic is
favored. Yep, they're the favorite, minus 3.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Florida Atlantic here because of what they did with Purdue. A lot better team than my alma mater, so I'm gonna go Florida Atlantic. So
that Purdue game is the only game that sort of gives me pause on this because I hope they don't come out flat based off of, you know, losing being so close to that game last week. I don't think they will. I actually like the over here, Dave. I like over 68.
Yeah, see, I don't know enough about the teams to
for this game.
Give you an over and under.
Yep, I like the offense a lot on both sides.
Over 68?
Over 68, yes, sir.
Oh, snap. I got this one in the bag. That's another win for Gator Dave.
Yeah, over 68.
A lot of
Nkosi Perry, dual threat. He's going to go for 100 rushing yards and 200 passing at least, 3 touchdowns. North Texas is going to throw for 3 touchdowns.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, Mike.
What'd you say?
I said maybe you should have kept him instead of benching Van Dyke.
Oh, no. I mean, Van Dyke, man, it's just he's in a new scheme.
Was that a disciplinary benching or what?
Oh no, he's playing like ass. But it's a matter of, I mean, there's a lot of factors going into it. Last year, he didn't really have any expectations to be the guy. People now have, I mean, they were talking about him being a first round pick going into this season. It's a new
They're still
OC.
saying
It's
that.
a new offensive scheme completely than what Rhett Lashley was running. He's now
Yeah.
running that pro-style boring shit under Josh Gaddis. And it's just not – it's not a good fit. Our receivers aren't helping him. They're not getting separation. They're dropping the ball.
Running backs? What the fuck, dude?
Well, they can't stay healthy, man. I mean, we have two, I think, right now that are actually healthy. It's Thad Franklin and Parrish, he's still even banged up, but he's our healthiest guy. Jalen Knighton's hurt again. Yeah, it's been all bad. Don Franklin's been hurt all year. Running back, we're really thin there, so it's tough. It's gonna be. I'm not necessarily that upset with it. I mean, there's people calling for Mario Cristobal's head already in the Canes community. I mean, they want him out. They're comparing him to. It baffles me. You know, it makes no sense in my opinion. You're gonna have. Honestly, it's probably gonna be it's stupid to say to some, but I think it's gonna be a blessing in disguise this game, because in order for him to really weed out that toxicity, weed out those old habits of these underachieving Miami teams, he's going to have to experience it, and they have to go through it so that they can correct it. Because I can guarantee there's nobody that is hurt by this loss more than Mario Cristobal. He came to Miami so that we wouldn't have these embarrassing losses ever again. For him to experience one that he was the head honcho of on his birthday, Dave, it's going to sit with him for a while, if not a very long time, if not ever. So I'm not worried about it in the slightest. You know, if this game happens next year and we lose to a Middle Tennessee State type next year, then we got some problems. Then we need to discuss some things and maybe change some things up a little bit. But as of right now, keep doing your thing. Stay positive. You know, build the team bond. Screw the naysayers. Cancel out the outside noise and just grind through the year. Because now the thing is too, we hit a bye week, so they have no game this year. They have no game this week. So they're gonna be. It's not gonna be a fun. It's not gonna be a fun bye in 2 weeks. I mean, it's gonna be heavy on their heads. And we open with North Carolina next week at home. So it'll be really interesting to see how they respond. I'm looking forward to see how they bounce back. If this is, you know, if they are putting those blocks together. If we come out flat against North Carolina next week, then man, there's gonna be some noise for sure.
But here's the deal. I mean, you know, we're in the same situation, both of us. We had, you know, both of us came to the year, you know, a little skeptical. I mean, up 7-5, 8-6 is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I came in optimistic, but yeah, ultimately, yeah.
But the reality of it is, it's a big change, and you know, you and I both know our teams, and I'll be honest with you, Mullen had such a shitty group of kids. I mean, we might have had 4 stars.
Right.
You know, we might, you know, when you look at our numbers, they're like number, you know, in the top 10 or 12. But, I mean, these guys, like this trade-in kid that's our starting safety, he sucks. I mean, and he's so bad, and that's this talent that we've got to get out and got to get these new kids in. And Napier said at the very beginning of the year, we're thin. We're thin. We're very thin.
Yeah.
So you've got a group of guys that are good, and you've got some of these guys that Napier's brought in, but you know, we're in the same boat. It's a rebuild year. You know, we both know when it all's said and done, we'll both beat Florida State. So that's really all that matters, Mike.
Man, I hope so. I think your team's in a much better position against them than mine is right now, and it really makes me nervous because that was a game I was looking forward to this year a lot, and now, oh God, I don't know.
I didn't have the optimism that you did.
Your that Florida State Florida game, actually, I just saw it's officially sold out already for in Doak this year. So they'll be there and rowdy. They believe in their team right now, man. It's really freaking annoying. They really do.
The next 3 games are gonna, make
They'll come back down to earth a little bit for sure.
So,
But yeah, I think ultimately it's it's just part of the process. Unfortunately, like both of our teams and our fan bases are very sick of the process. We don't want anything to do with the process anymore. We want results. I get it. I feel it. I hear you. I'm with you. But at the same time, I mean, we got to be realistic. You got to give them a chance to get a couple recruiting classes in, develop their guys, get the strength and conditioning program going the way they need it to, so these guys are ready to rock and rip.
I mean, look at where we were ranked at the end of the year last year, Mike. I mean,
yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, we're in the freaking 30s or whatever. I mean, it's just shit. So it's like, what do you expect?
One thing too, like what I was saying about, Mario. The thing that people are ripping on Mario now is because his whole thing when he came in was, you do anything how you do everything or something along those lines. That's basically been his line. So for them to lose this and for them to come in flat and for them to have a player, one of our offensive linemen, Ja'Kai Clark, came out and said, they thought they were going to win this game. That's why we lost. We thought we were going to win. And it's just, I don't understand, personally from the standpoint of just knowing college football and what's occurred over the last decade, 15 years, as far as the gap closing between these smaller schools and these outside Division I schools. I mean, there's talent pretty much everywhere at this point. They get guys that mess up in schools and they got to transfer out to JUCO and they got to build their way back up. So, and you get coaches that they screw up and they got to go back down to JUCO and they got to coach there for a few years. And it's all that line is just shrinking and shrinking. And now with the NIL deals, it's going even more. So for me, it's hard to even fathom like these guys going into a game with the mindset of like, we got this, it's over with. Like the fact that that's still there, that's the biggest issue. 100% the biggest issue. Because that says a lot about their current mindset and kind of how they see themselves. I mean, they said it in the past. It's and I could talk about this all night. Fuck it. We don't need to do this.
Give me another game.
Last game. All right. So based off of what y'all got going on, let's do this. Billy Napier's old squad, Louisiana Lafayette, is hosting South Alabama. And South Alabama has been good to me of late, so I want to hear your thoughts on this one. South Alabama's 3-1. They're at Louisiana. Lafayette beat them last year 20-18. The current line is South Alabama minus 8.5. It opened at -7, so there has been some money going towards South Alabama's way.
Yes, so South Alabama 155, Louisiana 177. South Alabama 3-1. Raging Cajuns are 2-2. The Jaguars come off 30-14 win against Louisiana Tech, 13-point favorites. Raging Cajuns coming off a loss to Louisiana Monroe at 9-5, and they were favorites. Oof. That's not looking good.
There we go.
They're playing at Louisiana, aren't they?
They are.
And what'd you say the line was?
Right now, it's -8.5 for South Alabama. So the Raging Cajuns are getting points.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Raging Cajuns in this particular game because and give me those points.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no.
Don't be shocked, man. I haven't lost yet, bro.
That's why I'm shocked. I don't like that. That's what I didn't want to hear. I wanted you to tell me South Alabama was going to win handedly, and I should go and make sure that I'd get that one in on my card. But it doesn't sound that way. So
it's a very quick pick, you know. That's just on the surface. I mean, you know, if you want me to do full research before you put real money down, then.
So the reason that I'm leaning South Alabama, one, I've been on them a couple weeks now. I was on them against that UCLA game. I had them winning that game outright, and I watched that game, and it was very disappointing that they didn't because they all but had it, and they got greedy. They tried to be big dog, and they got put back on the porch. The thing that got me the most was the Raging Cajuns cannot run the ball at all. At all. South Alabama has a great running defense, so they're going to force them to have to pass. And in that sense, I think South Alabama is going to be able to do enough on defense to sort of separate themselves, which is ultimately why I was leaning South Alabama, and I will still stay South Alabama for a little showdown again, a little surprise showdown action here at the end. But that's why I'm on them, man. I think they're a good team. I think they're a very good team.
It does look good. You know the reason why Louisiana can't run the ball right?
Why? Because Billy Napier stole their star running back.
First round offensive tackle and their number one running back.
There you go.
Little
Billy.
South Alabama is 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games.
You are fucking close to the screen. I just noticed this. This is awesome. I don't know when this happened, but this is great. This is absolutely great.
What?
Nothing. Continue. You're good.
So, Louisiana is 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 games.
Yeah.
So, because you're picking South Alabama, I'm going with the Raging Cajuns, baby. Give me them points.
All right. I love it. I'm on the other side, so we'll see. But I don't know. It might have been enough for me to hold off on it. We'll have to discuss this one definitely come next week for sure.
Absolutely. So, what do we got in the chat here, Mike? So, I'm having technical difficulties. We've got some sidebar conversations in the chat.
Right on. Love a good sidebar.
What the hell? I can't get, I'm having some technical difficulties there, buddy. Can you see what they're saying over there in the chat?
Can I see what they're saying?
So, Max Zachary is saying Wake in the money line. So he's right there.
So he's digging Wake as well?
He knows Tallahassee State blows, so that's a good thing.
Right on.
Public House, what's up, buddy? You still there? You gone to bed? Because you got to get up early with all them kids.
He's probably in bed. No in Public House. No, we got a big day tomorrow. Actually, we do have to get up early tomorrow.
You know, Mike, right now, you are 1 hour missing your Dolphins.
No, I know it, and I'm actually missing the. So.
What's the score?
Let me see. It's 7-3 Bengals. I actually have the Bengals in this game. I have the Bengals money line. I also got the under. So I don't think I don't expect too much out of us this week, to be honest.
Hey, how did your fantasy go last week? Did you lose any games to anybody of note?
Yeah, this guy who he was out of the country actually. So it was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive that he was able to. All right, Dave. You're lucky. Hey, I'm just gonna say you're lucky. That's the one time that we play this year. All right, because the next time we play, it's gonna be in the playoffs, and you know what? You know how it is. It's hard to beat somebody twice in 1 year. So
Robert is in the other league. We're in Jerome's league, right?
Right.
So I'm ahead of him by like 22 points.
Okay.
Going into the Monday night game.
That Dallas Giant game.
He had CD Lamb.
So close.
He scored 23. He beat me by half a point because CD Lamb scored like 23 points. I'm like, what the fuck? I'd have been 3-0 in all my leagues, but Robert beat me by a fucking half a point because CD Lamb scored like 23 in a game.
Snuck in there.
My Cowboys, you know.
Snuck in there. Your own team did it to you, isn't it? It's just cold-blooded.
Damn.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, my boy's still there. Public house still rocking. So, all right. Glad to know you're not asleep there, son. Anybody got questions, comments, or anything for us there in the chat? Y'all got all these sidebars going. Steel City going. You know, Scotty was there.
Yep, make sure everybody here, if you haven't already, please like the video. Make sure to subscribe. We do this every week. It's free. We bring you 12 games a week, couple surprise games. We're on a hot streak right now. We're on a roll. We had a rough little start to the beginning of the year, but now we're clicking again. We got Gator Dave back from Italy, so he's back focused on the things that matter.
That's right.
So, you know, it's on its way up for sure. And we also have our NFL show tomorrow night, if that's something you guys are into as well. We do those every Friday live, 8 p.m. So make sure to tune in and check that out. Also, Gator Dave, anything that we didn't talk about, anything you want to?
Yeah, one thing about your show tomorrow night. Aren't you giving away cards tomorrow night? I think I noticed that last night.
Yeah. There is a
giveaway. Giveaway tomorrow night.
Yep, there is a giveaway going on, so make sure to go to our Instagram to get more information on that, so you get a chance to win. It's pretty sweet, so it's going to be a pretty good giveaway.
It's a really good card they're giving away, guys. So check them out. What's the time tomorrow night, Mike?
8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on YouTube. 8
p.m. Eastern. So yeah,
same
that's
spot.
Your NFL pick. So you guys check it out for sure. So you know. I don't have a lot closing. Glad to be back. Enjoyed, you know, the trip to Italy. If anybody wants to know, I've got a spreadsheet that covers everything that we did and hid. I mean, you know, pretty organized. I mean,
did you print it out?
Oh yeah, we stuck to the script, man. It's pretty amazing, and you know, Nirvana made it through without falling out on the ground.
Did you make it through without falling out?
I made it through. My feet and legs were killing me every night. 20,000 steps we averaged a day.
Wow.
On our Fitbits.
Oh yeah, you were moving.
We were rocking, man, but it was amazing. So
that's awesome.
You know, we appreciate everyone listening. Look forward to next week. Check out NFL tomorrow night. You know, make sure you follow, make sure you like, and of course, go Gators.
Appreciate it as always, guys. Thank you for watching. Drop below in the comments who you like this week, and we'll see you next Thursday. Go Canes, baby. We're still here. We're still here.
We're still here. 2-2. Let's go.
We don't have the brown paper bags on yet. We're getting close, but we don't yet. All right, Dave.